it is. Are we ready? It's weird without Cliff being here.
Well, at any time we feel uncomfortable, we say
Rocket League.
What we say. Cliff, what do you think about that?
And just assume the next 15 minutes of silence are Cliff actually talking.
Yeah.
Cliff is on vacation. He's with his family somewhere in California. I think it starts with a D and ends with a land. Yeah, well, yeah. Disneyland. Lucky.
With an Disneyland in the middle.
Yeah, he's down there doing the vacation thing, so we're going to try and do this podcast on our own.
We will have our very special obligatory Rocket League section.
Do you have stuff to talk about with Rocket League?
I don't.
Because I don't either.
That segment is over. We did it.
We talked about
Rocket League without Cliff. He'll be so happy.
I actually need to play it more. I've got it, and I really, really like it. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. But I've not, we haven't played together as a group, so I want to do that.
We'll have to get that now that I have internet.
Oh, yeah, you finally got internet?
Got installed Saturday.
Yeah?
So.
Were they there between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m.? Right.
It's so obnoxious.
Yeah, why? I don't understand that. Like, you've got to do it, and it takes about this long to do it.
You think it would be, like, really, like, prompt. Like, they would know exactly how long it takes.
But, they've never done it before, so who knows?
Right?
It's whatever.
It's so weird. But
And it's not just cable companies. It's cable companies. It's phone companies. It's anything that has to do with coming to your house to flip a switch.
Yeah, and it's seriously that easy. Like the hookup is not. It's not complicated.
No,
I'm pretty sure I could do it.
But then, if something goes wrong, you actually have to pay all the full price to have somebody come out and check it and see what's wrong and blah blah blah. Whereas if they do it, it's on them. So it's whatever. So yeah. So have you had now that you've had the internet, have you gotten anything new? Have you tried to play anything new? Are you playing anything fun?
I started playing Until Dawn, which I love this game already. I knew I was going to love it.
Is that the parkour zombie thing?
No.
Which one was that? Daylight?
Dying Light.
Dying Light. Gotcha. Okay, okay.
So Until Dawn is the PS4 exclusive, kind of choose your own adventure-y horror movie experience. I'm leaning away from game as we've had this. I've talked about this game a little bit before when I was excited when I bought it during, I think it was the December Black Friday cheap goodness sales on the PlayStation Store. But it's all about the butterfly effect, which is how one choice can affect some crazy consequence later on. It's not just an Ashton Kutcher movie. The butterfly effect.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Is a real thing.
Yeah, did you know they made a sequel to that movie?
I didn't.
They did.
I don't. Think I don't think I've seen the butterfly effect, or maybe when I was little and it had first come out. Maybe
maybe like
on pay-per-view or something. You
would know if you'd seen it because he basically ends. I want to say he ends the movie without an arm. He wakes up from one of his little time travel butterfly effect paradox thingers, and he wakes up and he doesn't have an arm.
That's the catharsis at the end of the story.
Pretty much. He's like, don't mess with fate, you might lose an arm.
That's real weird.
It was really weird because I remember watching it, and when he showed up without an arm, the entire audience went, "What?"
Yeah. Well, it's the way this game's set up. I thought it was kind of interesting. So it's like you do this little prologue, I guess, introduction that's set a year before the actual game takes place, and you make a couple of choices here and there, but those choices don't actually affect the game. It just kind of affects how the story gets set up. These two missing sisters are missing either way. It's just how they go missing exactly, I think. Whether you fall off this cliff or not, or I won't go super into details, but premise is these two sisters are lost, and they have a brother, and they have this family haunted cabin essentially out in the middle of these creepy snowy woods. And a year later, he wants to get the group of friends back together at this camp because that's what his sisters would want. Like, they don't want, if they go missing, and they go missing for a really stupid reason. They played a prank on the little sister, and she ran crying into the woods. So it's like, you guys are totally jerks, and you totally that it was really mean what they did. And now their two sisters are gone, but all the friends reconnect at the cabin. It's kind of a weird premise, and the brother is real weird. So I don't know where this story is going at all. I'm still early on, but.
So now when you say it's an experience, it's not a game. Is it kind of along the lines of like the Walking Dead stuff? Where
yeah, but you do move around the 3-dimensional space a little bit more.
Okay.
So you can explore and you find clues. So again, I've talked about Heavy Rain before. It's very much like Heavy Rain. But I really like how it plays into the butterfly effect in this game, because you'll find these little totems. And there's certain ones that give you more information, show deaths, show about things that could happen in the game. So when you pick up this totem with your hand, you're able to rotate it, and you look into it, and you get a little glimpse of the future, or what the future could be. That's not necessarily how the game will unfold for you, but depending on your choices, you could have that happen in your game, or you can use that piece of information to try to avoid that fate, I guess.
Okay.
So that's kind of cool that it gives you little clues to try to play a certain way, and maybe try to keep your characters alive, because I'm sure there's going to be points when they die. And some of them you're going to like a lot more than other characters, so you might not feel so bad about killing certain characters off, maybe. I don't know. We'll see where that goes. And each character has a relationship with the other characters. So depending on how you talk to the characters, they will like each other more or less. They will be more honest or not. So each character has a set of stats that when you make choices, those little bars will shift left or right, and it will show you from where they started to where they are, depending on the choices you made. So it's kind of cool just to see, I mean, when you make choices, how that affects all the relationships with the characters, whether that's seeing a cell phone ring sticking out of a backpack, whether you choose to just ignore it or zip the backpack or pull the phone out to check. Because it's weird. It's like you're in the middle of this snowy, waiting for a cable car, and this backpack sitting on the bench with a phone ringing, and you're supposed to be going to this remote location with your friends, so it shouldn't be a big deal to pick up the phone, right?
You would think,
but then Bob comes out of the woods, and I can't remember what his name is. I think it's Chris or something. Chris comes out of the woods, and he's like, "Oh, you're being dishonest." He doesn't sound like an old fogey, but
so so you said characters may die, whatever.
Yeah.
Can your character in particular, the character you're playing, can he die, and do you have to like respawn and restart?
You play as all the characters, and if you make a choice and they die, they're gone, I think, from the story. So
really,
just like Heavy Rain. So
see, never. That's the thing. I've never played Heavy Rain. I always remembered seeing it.
Yeah,
and it looked interesting.
There's no way to lose or fail this game. You make a choice, a character dies, the game continues. Right. Now that part of the story is missing, though, if that character does die. If they had more story to tell, you no longer have access to that story because that character's not there to be a part of it. So it does allow replayability, I think,
absolutely,
if you really enjoy it.
How many characters are there?
There's actually quite a few.
So I mean, theoretically, let's say there's 10. You could have 10 different storylines,
right? Or so many different variations on those, depending if 9 characters survive, or 10, or 8, or 7, and who does. And
it's just a crazy amount of planning and programming, wouldn't you think?
I think so, but
because I'm not a programmer in any way, so I'm just like, hey, I get to play this pretty game. Yeah. I don't know what went into it.
Well, to me, games like that are so interesting to me, but I guess there's so much behind the scenes to make a game like that effective, because how easily it would be to create a glaring plot hole if you just all of a sudden removed a character that died. Yeah. So it's very, I think, definitely like tiptoeing on glass when you make a game like that, but the results have such a high ceiling for greatness if you put together an experience that way. So I can't wait to play more.
And is that all you've been playing?
That's basically what I played, because I was finagling with my internets, and the thing is getting ready. But I did buy Infamous Second Son on the PlayStation Flash sale.
Yeah.
It was here and then it's gone.
How much was it? How much did you pay for it?
$8.
Oh, I paid like $14.
Yeah.
Which is still not
I was going to buy it.
Bad.
I'd buy it for $20. I don't care. I almost did anyway, but I was like,
it's a lot of fun.
I'll buy it now.
Do you have a PS4 or PS4 Pro?
PS4.
Okay.
I don't have a 4K TV yet. So
so it's kind of...
The games are pretty enough. They've never I've never been disappointed.
Yeah,
so,
and I mean, even if you end up getting a 4K TV with HDR, you can still get the HDR out of your regular PS4, and that alone, like, you'd be really surprised. Well, you wouldn't be surprised because you're a video guy. You know what that's all about.
Yeah, I have my own opinions on high resolution and things. So
really,
yeah,
we'll have to talk about that sometime.
So, but yeah,
all
I'm gonna go home and play more though. So
yeah,
I can't wait to revisit Until Dawn and talk about it again.
Yeah, that sounds. I didn't know anything about it, so
yeah, I definitely recommend it if you catch it on a sale again. I mean, I got it for $8. It's a $20 game that goes on sale for $8 when they do the good sales. So
all right, cool.
If you're a PS4 owner, definitely check that one out. So
for sure. So yeah, I did a bit of shopping this weekend too. Even though the one that I bought, so I bought Hyper Light Drifter.
I think Cliff was playing that too a little bit, and he said it was great.
Yeah, Cliff has been playing. He said it's incredible. My friend Will is the one who was like, you guys need to talk about it. So we'll talk about it once I start playing it. I just bought it.
Yeah. And it's kind of similar to the old Zelda games.
That's what I've been told. Yeah.
So like an NES adventure.
Mm-hmm. But with this, there's no dialogue. There's no talking. There's no like dialogue boxes that pop up or anything. Just a minimal amount of instruction.
Yeah.
I think is what Cliff had said. But other than that, it's just all music and visuals.
Yeah, and it's kind of that retro style, and it looks really pretty.
It looks really cool.
Real cool looking.
Yeah.
I've always I see that one scrolling through the store, and I'm like, that looks interesting. I should play that sometime, but I got plenty of other games to play, so I'd have to.
I know, that's the thing. Like, I spent $20 on that, and I spent $20 on Final Fantasy XIV.
Which one's that?
That's the online one, the MMO.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was really excited when Kevin said he was going to stop paying for World of Warcraft. I was like, oh, yay, we have time back. And then I found out he was supplanting that with Final Fantasy Online, and he's going to start playing that. And we've been talking about trying to find a game we could play together. So I've been checking it out. I've always been curious about it. I like the Final Fantasy games. I've just never finished one ever. So why not start a game that you theoretically could never finish because it's an MMO?
Yeah.
So I'll always be able to play it no matter what. So I got that, and I've installed it, and I've just got to make sure that I get on the right server so I can play with all my friends and all that. And I'll know more about what I think about that here in a week or so.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've been replaying. I just started replaying the Devil May Cry reboot DMC that came out, 4 years ago?
Yeah.
I love that game. I've always been a fan of the hack and slash button mashers that actually have some kind of depth to their fighting system, but you can still get by with just pressing every button you can. So because I remember playing the first Devil May Cry when it came out on the PS2, and I remember playing that thinking, holy crap, all the blood and all the flying around and all these weird monsters and these crazy combos, and being able to just fire the gun. I forget what the guns are called.
Yeah, they have cool names, don't they?
Yeah. Is it Ebony and Ivory? Honestly, I think that's what it is.
Is that what it is?
I honestly think that's what it is. But that's always fun, is just slashing a monster up into the sky and then juggling them with your gun.
Bang, bang.
Yeah. That's so great.
I've always wanted to play those. I don't know why I've never tried one.
They're
and I've
good.
been wanting to play a good beat 'em up. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like the God of War games?
Oh, yeah.
So if you like God of War, then you're going to love the Devil May Cry games because it's that similar kind of mechanic. It's God of War tends to be a little more, the camera tends to be a little more pulled back.
Yeah.
So you get more to see.
Yeah, the scope of God of War is just massive, right?
So
this is a little more intimate experience.
Yeah, and there's times where you're running down a hall that's a corridor that's just, you can barely fit down it, but you're going down at full tilt down the stairway trying to smash these monsters that are flying around. But Devil May Cry, it's always been a good game, but it's always been unforgivingly difficult.
Is it?
Even on the normal difficulty and easy difficulty, I can get through them on easy and normal. Normal is where I start to have problems. The next level above that, you can unlock even more difficulty as you finish the game, but you get to keep all your stuff. So you get to replay it at a higher difficulty. It's just insane. So it's a lot of fun. And DMC, I really like the reboot because they modernize it. It's not this gothic, this gothic castle setting, almost like the old Castlevania games, where it's kind of like Castlevania with swords instead of whips. But
whatever you're into.
Yeah, but the new one, it's all modernized and all this like because you're going back and forth between Limbo and the real world, and it's just really cool. Visually, it's insanely pretty. And I know we talk about pretty all the time, but it's really pretty. But it's one of those games where it's equally as fun to play as it is fun to look at.
Yeah.
So there's that. And another one that's fun to play that I keep playing that I'm going to finish because I love it is Ori and the Blind Forest. That's what I've been playing for the last couple of weeks. And if I had more time in my life, I'd probably be done with it by now.
Yeah.
But I'm also kind of going through Ori almost in a completionist kind of way. Which is not usually my thing.
Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes games will grab you like that. Like, there's a few games that I've had that attitude toward. It's very rare. Mm-hmm. But
and the style of it, because it's the very Metroidvania style. It makes you kind of have to go back through these places anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll open up my map, and once I've found the little map stone and put it into where it needs to go, and I open up more of the map and I see all the icons pop up and I'm like,
I'm going
to go back there, even though I've been through there 3 times, but I've got this new double jump or I've got this dash or something.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to go back through. And of course I've gone back through and died trying to get to this thing. And when I finally get to it, I'm like, well, I can't even jump that high. So
oh, no.
I just wasted that time.
Yeah.
But it was okay because it's so much fun. And I posted a video, and I just made you watch the video before we started the recording.
It got me excited to play this game. Another game that I bought around Black Friday on their sale on Xbox One, and I just haven't played it yet. I just stocking up for a rainy day, and we've had plenty of those. But
I'm like, we're in Seattle. We have more of those rainy days than anyone.
Day.
It's so good, though.
But it was like frantic, high intensity. With an epic payoff. Yeah,
because that cutscene that it goes into, I can't even tell you. It's so good.
Yeah. I don't even know what's going on, but it looks real cool.
And that's kind of what I wanted to post something. I've wanted to post a video. And that moment, that few minute moment that I posted, a few minutes of gameplay, was probably some of the most fun I've had playing a platformer type game.
Yeah.
Because the control is insanely good. And it's really, really tight. And these different mechanics that you pick up and abilities you pick up are kind of different than a lot of games that I've played, especially the one jump move where you can latch onto these projectiles and launch yourself. And that I've never really seen anything kind of like that mechanic before. Yeah. And once you finally get it down, they throw you into this insane level where that's all you use, and it's all about timing and making sure you're aiming yourself the right way.
Yeah.
And I played it for about 20 minutes trying to get through it, and I would die, and I would stand up and shake like I was having a stroke, and then I'd sit down and be like, okay, I could do this. And then I finally got through it into that cutscene with the giant thing, and it's so good. It's posted if you want to check it out on our website and on our Facebook and YouTubes and all that crap.
Are you following the story?
Yeah.
Pretty well compared to a game maybe like Inside?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, some of these artsy games like this don't necessarily have the...
Oh, yeah, there's an actual story going on here. And I stopped the video where we watched where it ended. I cut it there because it immediately starts with a story.
Got it.
A story element, it's narrated by some being or whatever in a different language, and it narrates it and then puts up subtitles basically across the screen, and it tells the story as you go. But I wanted to make sure that I didn't give any real story element away.
No, that was like a perfect kind of gameplay trailer moment of the game. It kind of makes you just want to play it, and you're like, what's going on? I'm interested. I'm intrigued. So.
Yeah, now that I can record gameplay, because I've never done that before.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've got my PC to record the last 5 minutes of whatever I'm playing.
Oh, that's smart.
That way if I'm like, oh, that scene was amazing, or that move that I just pulled off, that was great, and then I can pause it, go and edit it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm way better than I thought I was, even though I still totally suck.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, Ori and the Blind Forest, even if you pay $20 or $25 for the definitive edition, which I found out definitive edition, there's a couple of more expanded areas within the game, and I want to say new music.
Okay.
Or different music in certain places. Anyway, if it's an extra $5 or so, totally worth it.
Right.
So the game is incredible.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to start playing that soon.
Yeah,
I feel left out now.
Well, it's and because we bought it on sale, we've got the definitive edition and the other version.
Yeah, it was weird. For some reason, when you buy one version of this game, your library gets populated with both.
Okay.
Why you need them, I have no idea.
It's whatever.
But
I'll take it.
Yeah.
And I also installed. I bought Soma, which is I think it's the underwater. Like you're in a it's a survival.
Okay.
Dark stuff, dead things game. I don't know. I bought it. It looked good, and it's
Was that on?
It was on Steam.
On Steam.
Yeah, so I bought it on the Steam sale. I think it was the Black Friday sale. It was one of the first. Oh yeah, it was when I got really really drunk at Thanksgiving. I was like, that looks really
Soma
good.
Sounds fun.
I'll buy it. So yeah, I finally installed that, and I'll start playing that at some point. Anyway, that's that. That's what we've been playing.
Speaking of beat 'em ups,
yes.
Have you seen this For Honor game?
So I was like, I've seen it, but I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it looks like another stupid like Skyrim ripoff, blah 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 blah. I didn't know what kind of game it was. I just thought it had that aesthetic to it.
Yeah.
Which it does have that aesthetic, but I didn't know it was like a melee combat.
Yeah. Have you kind of done a little digging?
So I saw in the show notes, have you seen this For Honor game? And I immediately looked it up and saw somebody's 36 executions or something.
Okay.
And I watched that and I was holy shit. What is this?
Yeah, this game seems very interesting. Now, my only concern right now is I don't know if this is a game I want to buy full price because I just don't know how much am I going to get out of this game, because it's kind of like the premise is really cool. It's like a game I've always wanted to play, but just like any other kind of fighting game, it's like, is that really a full game? Like, it doesn't give you this compelling story. It doesn't. Right. But maybe the mechanics and the combat is good enough to merit that price, right? But it's kind of this. You throw a couple of dudes in an arena and just melee combat, right?
Yeah,
so
fight to the death.
It's all about. Swinging your flail, your sword in specific directions and blocking certain areas. So I've heard the combat system is fairly deep, kind of closer to a fighting game, even though it's more of that third person action. So it's kind of a hybrid of I'm trying to think of
like
what
Tekken.
Yeah, along with playing maybe Skyrim, but your controls are much, because Skyrim, the controls aren't anything special.
Yeah, no.
It's block or swing, right?
Yeah.
But this actually has a pretty deep fighting system, and each of the different, because you can play as like knights or samurais, and each one of those, they have heavy, light, and medium classes, which will have different weapons, and their fighting styles will be different.
Would you classify it as like a MOBA?
Maybe
it's close
not
to a MOBA, but not so massive.
Yeah, because I think the main idea is you play it like a 3v3.
Right.
So you're playing with your team of 3 guys, and this is also one of the complaints I hear with the game is once one of your teammates dies, it quickly becomes very hard to come back from that, because double teams aren't something that are very easy to balance, or a 1v3, right? That's going to be very tricky. There are gameplay elements that you can get like buffs when you're getting overwhelmed by an outnumber like that.
I think there's like revenges.
Yeah, and it can allow you to come back, but it still sounds like it's fairly tricky. But again, like, is it supposed to be fair? Like, once one of your guys dies, I mean, a 3-on-2 advantage.
You kind of need to have something to level the playing field, even if it's just for 2 seconds.
Yeah, and on the flip side, once you're outnumbered, like, you shouldn't expect to come back and win, right?
Right.
That, as fighting goes, usually. So, I mean, I don't think that's the biggest complaint. But, again, getting just beaten up once one teammate dies is never going to be fun.
Right.
So, that...
Yeah, I was watching.
You might enjoy that differently.
I was watching some gameplay videos just so I could try and understand what the game was about, and it showed like it was somebody's top 5 executions or something, and the one guy coming back, it was 2v1 at some point, and he had a guy on either side of him, and it looked like I was watching somebody doing some kind of a dance. Yeah. And he was dancing around and just bashing everybody and blocking everything just so perfectly. So you could tell that it's not just you get dropped in here and you have to smash every button and hope to God one of those hits lands. It's you actually have to pay attention to see where the swing's coming from, where they're going.
Right. And it seems like it visually does a pretty good job of that. Like, if you have a shield, it kind of has 3, I think, kind of, it's like up and lower, right and left. is kind of just looking at gameplay. That's kind of what I could grasp. So you could put your shield in certain locations and just reading their swings. And that's a really interesting mechanic to me. Like, I'm really into that idea. And it doesn't seem as complex as a fighting game where you just press like down, down, back, up, X. Like, and these really weird arbitrary combinations that actually don't mimic
they don't feel natural.
What you're doing. Like, I don't know why that makes an energy ball come out of my hand. Like, there's nothing about like stepping back 3 times and then forward square that makes me shoot an energy blast. Like, that never made sense with me. As much fun as a fighting game could be.
Oh, yeah.
Because I loved playing Injustice, but that never felt natural. So if this game can allow me to, I don't know, fight in the same way as a fighting game without those arbitrary controls, I would be very interested in a game like that.
It would be cool if they put it in VR and gave you the PlayStation Move controllers and you could just swing your sword and block with your hands. Like, actually, that would be
That's
great.
next level.
Yeah, and that'll probably
That's
not
awesome.
happen.
It better happen.
So do you think you're going to end up getting this eventually? Is it one of those you're going to wait to see if it goes on sale or if enough people, because it's getting great reviews, people really, really like this game.
Yeah, it seems like a solid game. I'm just wondering, like, is there enough content to this game?
Well, isn't that kind of what people said or were wondering what they were going to do with Overwatch?
Right.
Where they're like, well, if you have to have people to play this game and that's all it is there going to be enough to the game to keep, to justify the price tag and to keep people coming back to it? Well, obviously there is with Overwatch.
Yeah,
I mean, that thing's just taken off.
That's not. So I'm definitely open to that idea that this game is worth that, because I've seen a game like Overwatch where I totally think all of its game modes, all its characters, all the variety offers you a great experience. This game doesn't obviously have that variety just at first glance, but I could be persuaded.
Because you're trading in guns and exploding things and being able to fly around to a very archaic medieval. You've got a sword and a shield, and that's kind of, and then you might eat some weird potion and you're strong for two seconds.
Yeah. And there's environmental houses as well, so you can kick people into holes and stuff.
There's kicked off the side of a castle.
So I mean, variety in maps could be a big thing too. Like, do they have really good level design? And I mean, there is range. You can be an archer and things like that too, I believe. Okay. I haven't seen that gameplay as
I don't
much,
think I have either.
But I think I read.
I know there's a ninja.
So I really want the different like ninjas and samurais and knights and things to feel different enough too, right? You don't want the light, medium, and heavies all to feel the same. Doesn't matter what skin you're wearing or what color your clothes are.
Oh yeah, it's like Ken and Ryu in Street Fighter. It's like they're two different characters and they have the exact same moveset.
Yeah, so that would be something that I'd be like, that's not worth the full price of admission, right?
Because you might have had 20 different characters in Street Fighter, but you really only had about maybe 4 different play styles at the most.
So I'm playing Overwatch. Each of those characters is so different. So that immediately right there is like, okay, that's great. And if this game can kind of do that same thing and make, if I'm swinging a flail around versus slashing a sword and stabbing some dude, like that's a cool experience if they can put weight to those weapons.
And some of those weapons, have you seen some of the executions and stuff that they pull off in that game? Like, I had no idea that's what I was getting into when I looked up videos of that game.
Yeah,
that's fun.
It looks really good.
Oh yeah,
it's a great looking game. So this is a game I want to totally be worth every penny, because it looks fun, and it's a game.
Hopefully not hopefully. I hope it sells a whole ton at that price and then it goes down in price in another month or two, because that seems to be how games are. So I'm guessing, by April or May, find it for $35.
Right. And if they gave me that price, no problem. I'd give it a test drive.
Sweet.
Or I'll research a little bit more and actually kind of see what people think after a week, or because I know there was a open beta, I think, for this game.
That I remember seeing
people poured a lot of time into before the full game came out, or whatnot. So I think there's a pretty good consensus that it's a pretty solid game.
Sweet.
So that's good.
Cool.
And there's a lot of other new games coming up.
There's
too.
a lot coming out,
and we know there's a lot coming out through the next month, but just in the next week. Tomorrow we get Halo Wars 2.
And when people are listening to this, it'll be 2 days ago.
Yesterday or the day before yesterday, or who knows. But February 21st.
Yeah.
Anyway, because games usually come out on Tuesdays, as we've probably learned over the years.
Yeah, and I'm curious, why do music? So it used to be music
Friday.
Music used to be Tuesdays.
Music used to be Tuesdays?
Yeah, music used to be Tuesdays. Video games are Tuesdays. Movies used to be Fridays or Wednesdays. I don't know.
Fridays or Wednesdays, but now they're doing started doing the midnight showing thing, so it was technically still Friday.
Oh, I've got
but
tickets
now it's Thursday, and now it's like 8 p.m. on Thursday, and now it's like 6 p.m. on Thursday, and now it's just Thursday, and it's like,
I've got my tickets for Beauty and the Beast 3D IMAX the night before it comes, the night before its release date, whatever, the opening night, for whatever reason. So yeah, I don't understand it. But anyway, the fact is games come out on Tuesdays typically. And the one that came out a couple of days ago was something I've never played any game in this series except for maybe 5 minutes. So I've never played a Halo game.
Yeah.
Have you?
I've played most Halo games. I didn't play the first Halo Wars much. I had some buddies that were really into it.
Is Halo Wars
is an RTS, so real-time strategy.
Okay.
So it might look kind of like StarCraft. I don't really know, but I felt like this kind of came out of nowhere too. Like I had been hearing about Halo Wars, but all of a sudden I was like scrolling around and I was like, oh, it comes out like now. It's like that's kind of interesting. I don't know if this is a game I will play, but I think a game that you and I both might be looking forward to, a shiny new PS4 exclusive, being Horizon Zero Dawn.
It looks really, really good, and that's the game where they were showing that off a lot in the run up to the PS4 Pro coming out. Because it was, I want to say it was the first game that was in development, or at least that Sony had going for them, that really was the showcase for the PS4 Pro. That's what they were using to kind of show that off.
Yeah.
So it's always looked really interesting, like the whole mechanical animals thing. I'm dying to find, I kind of want to find out more, like what happened.
Yeah. It's got a really interesting feel to it, being like, you're in the wild with like robots.
Yeah.
But it seems okay.
And it's like in a post-apocalyptic like future where everything died and is gone and then came back. And then how is it post? What, like I saw that somewhere. I'm like, how is it post?
I guess, they did they recover from the apocalypse kind of?
Right, kind of.
But like what created, did machines, I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah.
But it looks real good. I want to play it.
And the female protagonist. Like you don't see that a lot in a lot of like big AAA front and center action games. Yeah, for sure.
It's real cool looking, but nothing seems off about it. Like they created this really believable world where like there's wild machines, so that seems really, really neat.
They look completely natural and they don't look out of place. And you get to see a chick take down this giant Tyrannosaur looking robot made out of seemingly random machine parts that just happen to be laying around.
I'm super cool with it.
Yeah, I'm cool with it too. I really want to know what happened for them to get to this point in the world.
We'll just have to play it next week.
Well, yeah. Well, I won't play it next week. I'm not going to I can no longer afford to buy games as they are released. I have to wait because I can't drop $60 every couple of weeks on a game.
Right.
It's too expensive.
It's tough. That's why we play Ori and the Blind Forest, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I love the Steam sale and the flash sales on PlayStation 4 on the PlayStation Store.
Yeah.
What was that game that came out originally on the PS3 that had the girl? The other game that she had the long red hair, the female protagonist. On what was the game?
Give me a little bit more.
She had long red hair. It was a PlayStation 3 game. It came out. It was released with the PlayStation 3.
Oh, jeez.
So 15 years ago. No, was it 15 years ago? No.
Something like that. It's been a long time.
Wow. No, it can't. Yeah, it was like 2007.
Oh, PS3. Yeah, it'd be
PS3. PS3.
Red hair?
Yeah. I got it. Heavenly Sword.
Oh, I didn't think that game was like. I don't know where my brain was.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I had Heavenly Sword in my mind, but I honestly didn't think that's what you were asking.
Yeah, Heavenly Sword. It was a PS3 exclusive, and it was released when the PS3 came out. Yeah, it was one of the release games. Ninja Theory did it. Sure. Anyway, so there's that. There's the answer to that question that we finally figured out.
What was the relevance of that question?
No, that was the last. That was the last game that I remember coming out that had a female lead.
Oh,
that
got
was
it.
that heavily. It was that heavily hyped.
Yeah.
So what my worry is with Horizon Zero Dawn is Heavenly Sword was crazy hyped, just like Horizon Zero Dawn is being crazy hyped. Both feature a female lead, and both have long red hair. The Heavenly Sword
was crazy garbage.
It wasn't crazy garbage so much. I liked it. A lot of people didn't. It was not quite the game that I think a lot of people were hoping for. Or its control scheme brought it down, or something. Something about it brought it down. It looked fantastic, and it was really a great showcase for the PS3 at the time. So I just hope that Sony kind of learned from that one, and they're not going to repeat that same kind of mistake with Horizon Zero Dawn. All the preview reviews that I've been reading are saying it's legit. So it's the real deal.
Yeah, I hope to see a little bit more, because this is a game that I would potentially consider getting sooner than later, because it looks like something I really want to play. And this is from those that brought us Killzone, or the Killzone franchise.
Right.
Are you familiar with the Killzone games?
I know them, and I think I've played. Oh, I played one once on when before PlayStation Now decided to not work on my TV.
Yeah.
I had gotten my TV and tried it out, and that was one of the games that I played.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is kind of fun.
Yeah. I was a big fan of the first Killzone. I really liked that universe. It was cool. But I think the problem with the Killzone franchise, it fell too heavily into the conventional shooter world. Like, it didn't do anything much different. And they were really solid shooters, but they did look really good. Like, their graphics were always like top notch.
Nice.
But they weren't anything groundbreaking, and I
remembered seeing them, and I remember seeing their logos and stuff. Like, I would always see that game when I went to GameStop or somewhere,
right,
and I would see that cover, and immediately, you're like, that it's a recognizable kind of.
It's very well marketed.
Yeah.
But
I never played
exactly back it up later on. But I'm excited to see those people make a different game, because they do make solid games, but I think they were stuck on.
Like being typecast.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
what if Call of Duty went and made not Call of Duty? Like, how great would that game maybe be? Because it's not.
That would probably be really, really good.
It's a great game. Hint. Those that make Call of Duty, go make something else.
Who makes Call of Duty? I don't know.
Yeah,
somebody.
We don't want to give them any more free publicity.
I know. I mean, they've only got 115 of those games.
Yeah, they don't need any. They don't need any help.
No. So, okay. So Horizon Zero Dawn, that comes out next week.
Yeah.
So, all right.
And
if you got a PS4,
this kind of launches us into the cycle of never-ending good games to come out for the next
think
months.
Never-ending good games.
Supposedly.
Right.
Like the hype train is coming.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to put it.
Well, the hype train has been on the way. We've seen the hype train on the way, and we're just waiting for it to derail with one of these big games coming out in the next 6 months that everybody's waiting for. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to totally bomb.
It's going to be a stink fest.
Yeah, it's going to be terrible. I just know it.
One of those things could be the Nintendo Switch.
It could be. I really hope it's not.
I really want the Nintendo Switch to be good, but I bring this up because apparently there was a video floating around on the internet that kind of showed off the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
Because someone got their hands on one, right? But apparently that was like stolen.
Yeah, because the guy played it off as, I got my pre-order Switch 2 weeks early. Can you believe it? How amazing am I? And then he posted video. Why would you do that?
Yeah. But I mean, he wasn't totally wrong, but like, I think someone within the distributor stole it and then resold it, I guess.
Right.
So, like, he might have fairly purchased it, I guess, in quotations, because it's not fair. But, like, again, if you buy stolen goods, you're not really at fault because you don't really know. But we all know that the Nintendo Switch isn't out yet, and you're trying to show it off. And
you probably shouldn't do that.
And apparently someone has been removed from their job over this. So, the person was caught switch-handed. So...
How's your microphone there? Are you good with it?
Great.
Okay.
I just wanted to sit up straighter, better posture for better speaking.
Yeah.
But
still, even if it seemed a little questionable, like, I can't imagine that the guy, if he ended up buying it from somebody who lifted it off the back of a truck, I can't imagine that in that moment, it felt like a good thing to be doing.
Absolutely.
Like, there had to be something shady about that to begin with as you went in. So I'm not sure why he would post video of this probably stolen system.
Yeah.
Knowing full well that Nintendo is like Santa Claus. They're everywhere. They will find you. And if you have been naughty, they're going to nail your ass to the wall. So did they end up taking it back from him or whatever? Because I know that something has gone down over it.
Right.
So I don't know. But that was, I saw that and I'm like, why would, man.
Yeah, that's funny. Think about how that deal went down though. Like,
hello, sir. Would you like to purchase this Nintendo Switch? It's not even, it's I got it for you.
Yet. And he's like, in good conscience, yes, I would love it. And I will put it on the YouTubes.
Here, everybody, look at the game you can't buy.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have it. I know
I don't have games for it because he didn't black market sell me those.
Yeah, what
I think he was just showing off the menus and stuff.
What?
And I guess the hard drive space is around 25 gigabytes when they're marketed as, 32? But
well, I mean,
so
that's...
now we know the operating system is blah. Because people care about this stuff. It seems weird.
Well, yeah, but it's like anytime that something is advertised with X amount of memory, you immediately want to drop, 5 to 7 gigs off of that?
Like, we know our phones aren't as big as they say. We know a 1 terabyte hard drive Xbox or PS4 isn't actually that big. We know that. We don't need to... Which
also makes me just, at some point, when is Nintendo going to figure out that 32 gigs is not enough space? It's just not. Granted, I get that it's going to be is it a cartridge-based system? Is that what it's going to be? It has to be cartridge-based because there's no installation. Like, you're not going to have to install a game on it to play it.
Yeah.
Unless it's a digital purchase.
Right.
So if you purchase it digitally, then you're going to have to download it and install it and keep it there.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm assuming it's a cartridge-based system.
Yes.
So
I think that's, is that what we've learned?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm guessing yes.
But on the flip side of Nintendo not understanding that 32 gigabytes is just not even a number these days, they do let us use the very easily accessible SD card to enhance the space of our systems. It's been on the 3DS, the Wii. I mean...
Oh, see, I never thought to do that.
You literally just buy one off the shelf at Target or wherever, and you can increase your memory. It's
can
not
you play games off, download games off of that?
That's how the memory was. Like, your 3DS, you can just put a big old SD card in there and have all kinds of space. For the Nintendo Switch, you could put in a up to 2 terabyte SD card. Those don't really exist yet, but it will support.
But when they do,
there has been prototypes. They've been shown off, like 1 terabyte SD cards, which is just bananas,
right?
To think about, like
a terabyte the size of your fingernail
is silly.
That's insane.
Why I have these giant boxes all around my house with videos all over them,
right?
All up inside them. Nintendo Switch is also... Unlike former Nintendo consoles, your purchases will be linked to your account and not to your console.
That something? Are they just now starting that? I thought they did that with the Wii U.
I don't think so. That's what I was reading.
No, I believe it because I mean it's not like I didn't have multiple people owning a Wii U, so I never got a chance to really try that out.
Comparing,
yeah.
But
that'll be good though.
They're again getting up to speed with the rest of the world. So you'll be able to, I guess, if you upgrade a system later on, you'll have those digital games available.
Right.
Because I knew, it was a pain. Like when you bought Wii games, you could get them onto your Wii U by transferring them and then like paying another $1. It was all of this silly nonsense. Like, just let me buy your old game that you're still somehow making money off of, even though it was made in the 80s. Like, why are you selling me this?
Because the nostalgia factor, people want it. But it's nice. You only have to buy it the one time.
Yeah.
And if your Switch takes a crap, well, I'm hoping
it's safe to assume
it's safe to assume
this will be the last time I have to buy Mega Man 2.
Yeah, and aren't they talking about a GameCube emulator coming for the Switch on the Virtual Console?
Yeah. We were going to see because GameCube games weren't ever on Virtual Console before.
No, they
right?
weren't. I think they're on the way for it too.
Yeah.
With this, that'll be nice too.
Yeah, that will open up a whole new library of old games.
Yes.
As weird as that sounds, but I guess Nintendo is they're kind of the kings of the old games, right?
Well, yeah, and I mean, if you think about it, if you're like, oh, I remember playing Super Mario Brothers. I played that 20 years ago, or I played that 2 weeks ago. Because it's one of those games where it's a timeless game. It's and the replayability. It's just fun.
And those games generally do hold up better, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe it comes down to the simplicity of the game. So the mechanics don't age poorly.
Right,
like, you go back and play an old platformer, it still plays very well. Yeah. You go back and play an old
GoldenEye
3D shooter, it does not play well at all. We somehow did a disservice to us and played those games in the first place and thought
this is amazing.
Fun. Like, this isn't actually working, but we love it. Yeah, I had that exact experience trying to play GoldenEye fairly recently. I was like, this isn't how games are supposed to be at all. I'm going to go play.
I never played GoldenEye, and I could tell you that's not how it works.
First-person shooter now.
Yeah. Well, Switch is all over the place. What about, do you really think Sony is going to go and make a new handheld?
I don't know. This is kind of funny. This popped up. Did you click that link?
I checked the link out, and it looked interesting. It's almost like, from what I saw, I was like, oh, hey, guys here at Sony, did you see what Nintendo's doing? What do you think?
Yeah.
And then they're going to try and market if this is a real thing. Because what it looks like the Nintendo Switch with the two controllers on the side of a screen.
Right. And it is hard to say exactly what this is. So this popped up on some Japanese website that I'm not fluent.
I clicked on it and Google translated it for me.
Yeah, so this page is Google translatable and you can get a lot of information from it. But a patent was filed for this drawing. But this is an old patent. But this article was recently published questioning.
How old is the patent?
I think it was from 2015.
Okay.
But again, like, these things can be in the works for, patents happen way ahead of time, right?
Right.
But this got published today questioning the future of a new Sony handheld system. So PS Vita owners out there might be prematurely excited. All three of you out there. But it is shockingly similar to a Nintendo Switch. It is kind of funny because it's literally a tablet that looks like you cut the handles off of a DualShock controller and glued them to the sides of it.
Right.
It is quite comical picture. It's a hilarious joke, if anything, that someone sketched this up.
It's just I honestly wonder if somebody took a schematic or a drawing of like the Nintendo Switch in its infancy, and they were like, "Hey, let's slap Sony's name on this and say, look what we did."
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, who knows what this actually is at this point?
Wow.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny to look at.
In theory, the way that it's set up, because it's got the controllers off to the side, and it looks way more handleable than because I've tried a PS Vita or at least the original PSP or something, and the way that it fit in my hand, like, I've got big hands, and something about it just didn't seem right, so I've never tried the Vita. I don't know how that would fit in my big old man hands, but this definitely looks like something I'd be okay with, because you can actually wrap your hands around what feels like a controller, even though it's strapped onto a screen.
Right, and this would allow you to play the more hardcore games on a handheld, because I think that's something that never really drew me to a PSP or a PS Vita. Was these were hardcore games on a handheld, but the handheld system itself wasn't built to be played that way.
Right.
Like, I love my 3DS because I play fairly simple, platforming games or...
Right. They realize that the games that are going on to that aren't these hardcore. They might be hardcore games, but they're not that style of hardcore where
I really need a controller that is all designed for ergonomics, speed, and dexterity to be able to do combinations and things. But on a handheld, that creates a challenge.
Yeah, it's like the 3DS. They were like, look what we can do with this console. Whereas with the PS Vita, it's like, look what this console can do.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's like, that's great that it can do that, but if I can't play it the way it's meant to be played, or if it hurts after 10 minutes, it's like playing a wafer.
Like, I'm imagining, like, it's not far from an iPad, like holding an iPad, right? It's not, there's not curves to it that fit into my hand and allow me to press buttons at lightning speed.
So if this is actually a thing, well, cool.
Yeah, cool.
I still probably won't buy it.
I won't buy it.
Oh, yeah. Sony, just give up the handheld game. And I say that, but even though I know that the PS Vita is actually done, they wouldn't have kept it around for this long if it wasn't doing something for them. So obviously there are people playing it. It's a thing. I'm not besmirching any PS Vita owners' choice in gaming system. I think it's great because somebody has to buy it.
Yeah,
and I've thought about it, but I
most
just
of the time
can't
I'm
do it.
happy sitting down at my TV with a console.
I know.
Like I never have wanted to play God of War on the go, I guess is a good way to put it.
That's probably the wrong game to pull out of thin air on that argument because I would take Kratos with me if I could. I would play God of War.
Well, yeah, I would take any good game with me anywhere,
I would do it.
But
like the God of War, actually, the God of War games are the only games on the Vita that I'm aware of that have actually made me question whether or not I should get one.
Right, but what was the choice you ultimately made?
Well, I got a 3DS.
Can you play God of War on those?
No.
There you go.
I know. It's a thing. Actually, I started with a 2DS.
What?
I know.
Why?
Because I was like, I had kind of gotten to the point where
it's so funny looking.
I know. I was like, do I want to invest in another system? Do I want to do the 3DS? It seems so gimmicky and la 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 la. And I played it enough to where I'm like, okay, this is fun, but do I really want that? Do I want to spend $200 on a 3DS? And then the 2DS came out and it plays all the same games on and on and on, just a smaller screen, and it's all one thing.
Yep.
It's $100. I'm like, okay, I can do that. So I played it, and my big old man hands were too big for the thing, and I powered through a handful of games on that thing, and finally, after like a week of really gnarly arthritis feeling crap with my hands, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to take this back in, and I'll just pay the difference. And I did, and I love it.
Yeah.
So I don't play it as much as I should, but I do love it.
Yeah, it's great. But to me, like, trying to cram those giant big game experiences down into a handheld doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, no.
Like, I don't need to play. I'm not going to play Halo on a handheld. I'm not going to play God of War on a handheld. I'm not going to play Uncharted on a handheld. I'm not going to, like, these big blockbuster games don't really belong on a handheld. So
it's true. I
don't think that that system doesn't hold a place for me personally.
And that's fair.
So,
are we going to talk about Rocket League?
Is this the part we talk about Rocket League?
Cliff, what do you think? Good. Great. So, we found out that Cliff has done nothing but play Rocket League.
Cliff, what are you doing in Disneyland?
I'm playing Rocket
League.
I wonder if he's driving. I wonder if he's in the Cars Land ride and he's trying to push a button to make the car flip up in the air and hit his turbo and knock a ball. I wonder if he's trying to do that in those cars.
It's like he brought Rocket League to Disneyland. Like, is that like a bumper cars thing?
No. Oh, okay. Have you not been to Disneyland?
No.
I've
never been, but I'm going to Disney World soon. So.
Disney World's fun, but you don't get the Cars Land experience. Because it's a California adventure.
If they did have bumper cars, that'd be hilarious. So he just like throws a ball in there and just starts, gotta get my Rocket League in.
Oh, man. Tonight on the news, we're going to see some horrible thing happening in California. And Cliff's going to be front and center with Cars Land on fire behind him.
Yeah.
But anyway.
We do have one. You want to finish it off with a question from Vinny?
Yeah, Vinny.
Who is a very enthusiastic questioner of our intellect, asks good questions. So
I don't know if he's asking about our intellect. I think he's asking for our personal opinion. If he were asking our intellect...
That might have been a joke, because he's testing our mettle. METTLE.
Oh, that's how you spell it.
So this launches our second segment of Question from Vinny.
Yeah.
It could be a new... If he keeps up with sending us questions...
We'll call it My Cousin Vinny, and it'll be a random question about video games.
Yeah, from Vinny each week. It'll be great. What do you say, Vinny? His question this week is, what games do you guys love or at least enjoy that was rated very poorly amongst the community?
And I wish I'd have read the show notes before this, or at least paid attention, because now I have to think.
I mean, maybe think of this more as a guilty pleasure, right?
Right.
You're playing a game that's bad.
Yeah. Well, it's not the game that that popped right into my head. It's not a bad game. It's just I don't think anybody would ever think that that's my go-to game if I just want to kill time. And I wish I had a copy of it. Hot Shots Golf 2.
Is that the
Hot Shots Golf 2 or 3? It was on the PS2, and you had the short little whatever those kind of characters are called. Anyway, they were short little cartoony looking characters, and it was just this crazy golf game with legit golf mechanics and golf clubs, and and everything. Like, it was a legit golf game with these weird cartoony characters and these over the top power ups and whatever. But it played like a regular golf game, and I'm not kidding when I say I could probably kill 5 hours on that game like it was nothing and want to keep playing. So I don't remember it being poorly received. I don't remember it even being received.
Yeah.
I just remember it being there, and I know they've made a number of those games in that series. And it was just always a lot of fun. Just a time suck.
Do you remember Outlaw Golf?
I know the name. I know the name. I know that name.
Because that was like... I'm just remembering that came to my mind when you said Hot Shots Golf. Not that those are the same games or anything, but
right.
It was like golf, but like with criminals or something. I don't know. Like there's
golf
like
in the Old West, maybe.
Bad dudes. Like
I don't remember that. I know I've seen the name, but I never played it.
There was seemed to be a time where video games kind of went through this MTV style, like. I don't know when Jackass was popular, maybe. I don't know what it was, but like you had like BMX XXX and like these weird like raunchy like takes on video games that have no reason to be raunch. So I don't know. I just thought of that.
Yeah, no, I don't.
So you're not into that game.
No, I played the Hot Shots Golf.
Hot Shots Golf.
Yeah.
So it was just golf.
It's a golf game. Just straight up golf game. There's no, it's a golf game. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what else I could say about it. It's a golf game. And it was bright and it was colorful and it was a fairly deep playing system from what I can remember. But I would play that all the time. So, and I've still got my PS2, so maybe I should just look for a copy of it somewhere and fire that up. And see if it's as good as I remember. Because it's probably not.
Terrible.
It's probably terrible.
I'm going to go play Wii Golf.
Oh, why? Wii Golf was terrible. Oh, man.
Was Wii Golf that terrible?
Yes. I thought it was. I thought all the Wii Sports games were terrible.
Your Hot Shots Golf snobbery is showing.
Yeah. It was amazing. I'd always get fun of by whoever was hanging out with me. I'm like, I'm going to play some Hot Shots Golf. Really? Yeah, I am. And I'm going to love it. It was good. So I don't know about what do you like? That's an older game that I played that I can't remember if it was well received or rated well or what. But I can't remember. I guess the only game that I've played recently. I'm gonna have to think about it. What about you? What do you have anything? Like, what's a game you've played that you just play it and like? If people knew you played it, they would make fun of you. Yeah. What game is that?
Yeah, I don't. This is kind of a tricky question.
Yeah,
because I'm not afraid to like a game too if that's generally received not so well for whatever reason. But
like, if you like a game, you like a game.
Yeah,
that's just all there is to it.
But at the same time, like, we do have such access to like. Reviews and things, and they can probably brainwash us a little bit into thinking a game's bad and we don't ever buy it in the first place, right?
Right.
So hopefully we kind of weed out some of those games that might be sleeper hits and we might actually really enjoy, right?
Oh, yeah.
But just because generally
the information's everywhere on just about every game that comes out, that unless we see that between 7 and 10 rating pop up on a game review, we're probably going to pass it over, which sucks because there's a lot of great games out there that fall well into the solid 3 or 4 range that we're not touching.
Yeah.
Or at least they say fall into the 3 or 4 range that we're not going to play. So, I don't know. Like, the only game I played The Division, and I like The Division. The Division was also very, oddly enough, divisive. See what I did there? But people really loved The Division or they really hated The Division. And it had a lot to do with when it came on the scene and it was released, there were a lot of bugs and a lot of screw-ups in the code or whatever. And whether it was game-breaking or not, sometimes they were, or whatever. Some people loved it, some people hated it. I happen to like it, but I know a lot of people that don't like that game. So I wouldn't say that it was poorly reviewed, but I know it was very divisive. So it was definitely one of those love it or hate it kind of games. And I still play it because I'll go back to that and I'll, kill an hour or two just to break up the seriousness of The Last of Us that I just went through.
Yeah. I think that's a good answer for you because I've heard that game didn't quite.
It's not quite what everybody was expecting.
The anticipation.
Yeah. I still really, really like it, though, because everybody was trying to compare it to, or they were trying to say it was going to be like another Destiny. And in a way, Destiny? Yeah.
Similar.
For some reason, it sounded weird when I said it. Like, I think everybody was expecting it to be kind of like Destiny, and in a lot of ways it is, but it's the more realistic setting and the more realistic shooting mechanics or whatever kind of change that up. And there was just a bunch of weird little things. Like at one point, I want to say you could walk through a wall to some end game tank thing, and people were finding ways to break the game. And like there were these loot caverns, kind of like in Destiny, like these loot caves where things would constantly respawn, and you could get more and more loot by doing simple menial things. Yeah. There were a lot of weird little bugs in it, so people didn't like that, which is fine.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah.
And the littlest things, right, and then depending on how much we enjoy a game, we can just look right past those little errors that might just totally ruin another game.
Well, yeah, because the guys that are playing Destiny, or not Destiny, but Division, the guys that are playing the Division, they want all the best loot and the blah, 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 blah. That's not me. So they're going to find all kinds of stuff wrong with it, I'm sure. Whereas me, I'm just going to run through and, take a couple of pot shots at these guys beating somebody in the middle of the street and call it a day.
Yes. I'm trying to think back to something, a game that I don't think it had good press around it in the beginning. It was kind of hyped up and might not have delivered exactly what might have been expected of it, but I thought it was great. Was The Saboteur. This was on Xbox 360. It was that there. I had it on Xbox 360. It might have been available on PlayStation 3 as well, probably, and maybe PC. But this was a really cool game. It was an open world, third person action shootery kind of game set in World War II. So you're in German occupied France, and you are this saboteur, right? But it was really cool how this game was presented. It was black and white. However, once you claimed back a part of the city that was occupied by Nazis, then you would restore color to that part of the city.
Okay.
It was just really neat look-wise, and it was a really cool-looking game because it was kind of that noir aesthetic. So, I mean, contrasty black and white, rainy, cool setting. But it played like your typical kind of open world third person, which has always been something that like I'm looking for. Like ever since I played Grand Theft Auto, I'm like, give me an open world third person action shooting game. Like I'm into it.
Right.
So whether that was like this or Mercenaries or these games like that, like I'm super into those. Again, this might have been a solid game. I can't exactly remember what exactly the reviews
critics said about it.
Right. I mean, it might have been reviewed fairly well, but I don't think it was quite what was expected of it. I was happy to have played it, and I probably bought it day one, and I don't regret it.
That you know.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, sweet. It's a good question.
We might have to revisit that one with Cliff, too.
Yeah, because I'd love to know what games because he obviously plays more games than all of us combined. Yeah. Because my friend Will he listens to the podcast and he'll be all, how many games does Cliff play? what does he do? And I'm like,
what does this guy do?
Well, he does this and he's that, but he plays so many games. What, does he have a family? Yeah. Do they miss him? I don't know.
Do they play with him? Are they like
yeah.
a game-playing family?
It's weird. Well, it's not. Sorry, Cliff, you're not here. We get to talk about you.
It's all speculation.
Yeah, so I'd love to hear what his 2 cents worth would be on that.
Yeah.
Because he's definitely the hardcore of us.
Yeah, or just has a more vast library of game knowledge than we do.
True. So yeah, so those are our answers, but we'll table that question and have Cliff at his bits when he comes back next week.
And maybe we'll have something better.
Yeah,
it'll strike you at the
it's going to be one of those
like,
where I probably should have read the show notes kind of ahead of time, even though I remember seeing Vinny post that comment and that question on our Facebook page.
I've been thinking about that one a lot, but again, these are good questions, so and I want to give a good answer, but it might take a
I mean, we've only had a week to figure it out, Dylan. I know. Sometimes you need more time.
I guess, like, how do you actually find out if this is the correct game? Like, okay, is this game? How was this rated? Like, you have to go back in the past and try to, like, dictate what was actually the thought of this game when it came out. How was it reviewed, and how did we generally perceive that game then and bring it now? I mean, if a game had come out yesterday, because, I mean, I could say, like, Sunset Overdrive was, again, kind of one of those games that I think went in the bargain bin pretty quick. It wasn't reviewed too poorly.
No.
That's a really fun game. That's a really fun game.
I remember hearing about that game. That's an Xbox exclusive, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was one of I remember seeing a list somewhere of underrated games. And I know we talked about games last week that were kind of obscure, but that was one of them.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely not an obscure game. That was right in the forefront. They packaged it with a brand new white Xbox One console and moved white Xbox Ones with that game.
Right.
And it was glitzy, had a lot of hype, came out. It was fairly well received, but I think it got thrown in the bargain bin pretty quick. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, who knows why that happens with certain games.
Well, it's because we talked about a game in one of our first podcasts that came out in between, what was it? Battlefield 1. A game came out between like Battlefield 1 and something else. And I can't remember what game that was, but it was a great game. And it just kind of we can't remember it.
Yeah. The forgotten game.
Yeah. It's one of those games where it's like they just chose poorly and in their release window.
Right. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah,
so it's like movies that don't want to
get trampled on by other big things that happen at the same time.
It's like great movies that don't stand a chance up against, like, the Marvel Universe movies or whatever. Well, you're not going to release your movie in May, June, or July. You're just not going to release it in there.
Yeah.
And you're going to release it when it's quieter, in like January or February. So,
I guess I'll mention one more thing on this is, for example, recently Battleborn came out right next to Overwatch and is a very similar game, kind of looks the same. It did not get reviewed as well or very well at all, but I've heard people really enjoy that game. I'd be curious to play it just to see, like, was this totally overshadowed by Overwatch? Is it playable? Like, is this a fun game? And because it came out, I think, like the week before Overwatch, and it kind of looked very similar, and they were kind of on the same level in the hype coming out, like, which one of these games is going to be the one?
Exactly.
And Overwatch just trampled it. But does that mean this game's bad?
Well, you know what might be a fun little project for us to do? Like, we'll work on this, but we should look at, over the last couple of years, at all the big AAA releases that come out that everybody's always super, super hyped for, and then look 2 or 3 slots below that to see what other games were released on that day or in that same window, and kind of go through and play these games that got overshadowed by all the Calls of Duties and the Battlefields and all these crazy big AAA titles that everybody knows. That would be a fun little project to kind of go back and see what games came out.
Did you know this game got released?
Right?
Because, I bet that's a lot to do with, generally.
Because there might be a lot of really great games that are just sitting there underneath all these giant titles everybody knows and loves, but we didn't touch because
we never played them.
We didn't hear about them. So,
it's amazing what marketing can do, right?
Seriously, that's why I'm in the business. What? All right.
Is that?
So, I think that's it. We don't have any really cheap or free stuff because all this. If you missed the sales last weekend, you kind of missed out.
The flash sale was cool. It came and went. There wasn't a whole lot that I was super interested in.
No, but I did buy Ninja Senki DX.
That sounds
no idea what it is.
Like a game.
Yeah, it's a game. I bought Oddworld New and Tasty.
Oh, I almost bought that.
Yeah, I bought that because it was like $8. You couldn't pass it up. So I got that, and it's only playable on the PS3 or the PS Vita.
Did you buy the wrong one?
I think I did. That's okay. I also got Shantae Risky's Revenge, which is this like 16-bit pixely platformer where you play a girl with this hair and you slap people with your hair. That got really great reviews, and that was only like $4. Or actually, I think it might have been cheaper than that. But I got that, and then I also got DMC. So I knew that I'd bought other stuff on the flash sale. But yeah, again, it's the flash sale. It's in the past. It's done.
Did you download them to your PS4 yet?
No, not yet.
I think
DMC I did.
In the case of Oddworld, I think you can get a refund if you haven't downloaded it to your system yet.
Oh, really?
So you could probably return it and get the correct one.
Oh, okay.
Because I think there is a PS4 one, I think.
Possibly. Yeah. I still got I've got my PS3, so I can easily flip that on and play it on there.
Yeah, you can't get a refund for a bad game, but if you accidentally click something.
Unless your bad game is No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
And you were able to.
Unless your game is so bad. Your bad game is so bad.
I kind of want to revisit that, though.
Yeah.
Because with all the updates and stuff, it's supposedly gotten a lot better. So
yeah, that's good to hear because I'm glad they're trying to correct something that was apparently a pretty big problem. So.
Oh, yeah.
Well, until next week.
Yeah, when Cliff is back to
regale us with more about Rocket League.
Oh, Rocket League.
We should play a whole lot of Rocket League before he gets back, and you and I can launch into a big Rocket League discussion.
Before he even gets a chance.
Yeah.
That's a plan.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Or we can play Rocket League without him.
Oh, he would cry. I think he would actually cry.
Are you crying, Cliff? When you're listening to this?
He's probably crying. But that's okay.
A moment of silence for Cliff.
And Rocket League.
Now check us out.
Yeah, where you can find us online, bitemepodcast.com, and then all the social medias, BYTE Me Podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love your questions. Send us some questions however you want to send them to us.
Yes, please. Podcast One, we're all over that. Make sure you like us, rate us on there. iTunes, Google Play. Stitcher. Yeah. Oh, and there's also some other app that my friend Will uses. I know I said Will's name like 4 times. It's called Overcast.
Oh, yeah?
And
you found us on there?
Yeah. Well, I think you can link it to iTunes or whatever. And if you don't like how we drone on and on about stuff, you can actually speed up the listening speed.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, you can speed us up. So if you want to get through our podcast in half the time, download Overcast.
We'll sound like chipmunks.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's kind of amazing.
I know.
Sort of.
I think.
Maybe obnoxious.
People want to listen to us, but not for that long.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
At least you're not trying to listen to half the episode. At least you want to squeeze the whole episode in half the time.
Nice
I appreciate
to know we're that compelling, I guess.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, all right.
I'm never going to do that.
No.
I
like listening to myself.
That would drive me bananas.
You've said bananas twice.
Now you have to go back and listen to how many times I said bananas in this episode.
Well, that would be the 3rd time in my count.
Oh.
All right.
Bite me.